G'day, g'day. Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast. Today I am talking to Freya Thomson. Hi. How are you, Freya?
Hi, I am very good. Thank you, Richard. And yourself?
Fantastic. Great. Good to see you and obviously hear you. Now you're based in Palmerston North, and your
I
business
sure am.
is Absolute Fitness.
Yep.
Cool. Tell me a little bit. I know there's other bits of you that I want to, particularly the kickboxing. That's something. Before we go any further, you've been an NZ kickboxing champ.
I have, yes. Back in the day, I did have 3 New Zealand titles, and I competed in the Black Gloves team in the 2014 World Champs.
Right. Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, so martial arts has been quite a big part of my business for a wee while. Yeah.
And I've got on your list animal lover. I can hear one in the background.
Yeah, I think someone's just turned up home, so I think that's
welcoming committee.
That's right. Yes.
So
he's pretty insistent. He's a gym dog too. So
yeah. Cool. Yeah. Nice. So tell us a bit more about Absolute Fitness. What do you do there in Palmy?
Okay, so I started off in a big box gym and was there for about 8 years, and got to a point where I really felt like I had to, or I really wanted to create the environment better support my clients. So the majority of my clients are actually quite nervous of being in gyms. They don't necessarily love exercise, or it's quite a new concept. So being in a gym where there are lots of people around, it was almost like a sensory overload.
Right.
So I created my private studio. So I converted a shed that's on my lifestyle property. So created the environment so far enough out of town that people feel like they're actually having a break from town and can switch off, but not too far away that I'm out in the so the majority of my business is just helping people learn to enjoy movement, be able to move without pain, and just generally feel better about themselves physically, and have the confidence to carry that on outside and achieve things they thought they couldn't.
Yeah, love it. Good. So that big box gym that you talked about, was that obviously 8 years is a decent amount of time? Was that where you do you feel like you developed skills and improved your abilities in those years, those early years in particular? Was there support there to help all of that sort of thing?
Yeah, yes. So it was the university gym that I studied out of. So it was just a coincidence that they were looking for personal trainers just as I finished my degree. And so I was one of 2 trainers, and we had all the support in the world. The fitness manager was excellent. He made sure that we were involved in discussions about what the gym was doing and asked us what we were willing to put forward. They had programs in place to try to encourage people to use us personal trainers, and would also pay us to do things like fitness testing for their members. So they gave us all the support in the world, and from there it was up to us to make the most of it. So it kind of gave me a space where I could build my confidence. I had someone that I could go and ask questions to. And it was excellent. So I was able to build my client base from there.
Brilliant. Sounds like the right environment to start off in, for sure.
Yeah, I think it was. I think if I'd gone and tried to do something all on my own right from the start, I wouldn't have known where to start, or where to go and get clients from, and I wouldn't have had kind of a support structure in place. So it was great, and I still communicate to that gym and pop in there now and then and catch up with them. So
yeah, brilliant. And so did some of those clients come with you as you moved and did your own thing?
Yeah, about, I'd say 90% of people did follow.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm also 4 minutes down the road, so
Okay.
it wasn't a big, you know, move to the other side of town thing. Most of my clients were Massey staff, so being 4 minutes down the road from Massey, they literally get in their car and travel and they're there. So it really wasn't a big move. For some people it was. For some people they really felt like I'm way out in the wops. That extra little drive. But at the same time, those were people that I probably didn't connect with that well, and they were just coming to me because I was the personal trainer in the gym that they were going to. So the people I connected with did come with me.
Yeah. It's all about that connection, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
So yoga as well. So obviously the kickboxing is something that you sort of brought with you into this role. But I noticed that yoga is an important part of your offering. What's behind that in terms of they seem poles apart, but perhaps that's the idea.
It is in a way. So I only started yoga when I gave up kickboxing.
Right.
My body was really broken. Everything hurt, and looking back now, like that was 6 years ago. Looking back now, and what I've learned is I was definitely in adrenal fatigue. I had injuries that I didn't even know that were being masked from all the adrenaline just surging, and I was just so burnt out. I just really felt like I needed a break and took off to Southeast Asia, as people and ended up at a yoga retreat where I spent 10 days. And it was the first time in a long time that I actually felt good. It took me quite a while to wind down, and I guess I just the instructor that was there was excellent for me. She gave me challenges, so I felt motivated to do it, and I learned to enjoy that. In the past, I'd tried yoga and it hadn't challenged me enough, and I was saying, do the stretch. I'm like, oh, I can already do it, so why am I here? I guess I just had a great instructor, and kind of built from there. I didn't get into it as a means to build a part of a business, but I was doing my own practice, and then my clients were asking for that service, and so I just started doing a little bit, and then as I realized that it was a service that could really help my members, took it further. So now I run 2 classes at my studio, which have online offerings as well. So of course it took COVID to realize I could actually put a camera facing me and stream it to people that can't. And I teach 3 classes at the Army now as well.
Okay. Are they nearby?
Yep. So if you think where Massey is, and then where the Army camp is, I'm directly in the middle.
Oh, right.
So, perfect. Yeah.
Excellent. So you've obviously got some connections in there as well. Did they come to you?
So I got the Army gig mostly because they, I was working at the closest gym. So someone went down there and was like, do you know a yoga teacher? And they were like, yeah, our PT teaches yoga. So I went out for a trial, and that was about 4 years ago, and I've been there ever since.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
So
yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah. Brilliant. So it sounds like it was a bit of a yin to your yang to your yin in terms of balancing out the body and the injuries, and just restoring some of that equilibrium again back in your body.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really helped my my sporting endeavors since then. Just having that understanding of the body, and just learning to tune in and listen. has been major, rather than you know, the old kickboxing mindset where it's like you're meant to feel pain and it's good to feel pain. It means you're working hard enough. So actually learning to stop and listen to that, and it's I think that's been why I've been able to go on and achieve stuff in other sports as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. Is one of those other sports triathlon by any chance?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Look, I've always had this thing that if it doesn't scare you, it's probably not a big enough goal to motivate you. So, you know, rather than just saying triathlon, I went into Ironman.
Yes.
As you do. Of
course, and, yeah, everybody does that.
No, just a casual trip around the block.
Yeah.
But I really valued yoga to get me through that as well, because I think if I hadn't been doing that, my recovery just wouldn't have been enough to get me through the amount of training you have to do.
Right.
And also just during the event, because I'd learned to calm my mind down rather than having to always be thinking, I could sit on a bike for 7 hours and just kind of like go with it and appreciate everything, rather than being like, there's the road, there's the road, there's the road. You're able to just stop and appreciate all the little bits.
Nice. Clever. Very clever. What was that about? Was that a challenge for you? Was that a personal thing that you needed to tick off, or something else?
I first heard about Ironman when it was my PE teacher in 7th form. She was training for it. And I was just really interested by it and intrigued, and I was like, wow, what an accomplishment. And so I'd always kind of been in the back. I was like, wow, I'd love to achieve that. Like, look how passionate she is, and she's so driven. And it wasn't until I started getting business coaching and coaching through, it was when it was still the Kaizen Institute. It was actually Angela that was like, well, is there a goal that you had not achieved? Not about business, but what have you not achieved? And I was like, actually, there is this little goal. And it's just never been the right time. And, you know, I started coming up with excuses, as you do. And she was like, look, if anyone can achieve this and put their mind to it, it's probably you. So let's do it. And so did it.
How right she was. That's fantastic. So that was Taupo, is that right?
Yes, yep. Taupo 2020. So 2 weeks later, we were in lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're really lucky to that went ahead, because that was a lot of training to have gone to waste if we couldn't do it.
Geez, that would have been frustrating if it was the other way around. So obviously you're an animal lover. You've got the lifestyle block there with the work, you know, barn so close that it's a nice, easy commute. How much of your time is spent in that sort of space where you're looking after the animals? Because you're into horses as well, is that right?
Yes, yep. So I've currently got 3 horses, which is a big downsize to this time last year where I had 6.
Right.
In the past, I've spent a lot more time with them. I mean, they are a hobby that does take a lot of time, and they do need a lot of care. But I feel like now I've got a good number, and only one that I ride, that it can really balance quite nicely. I've got a great horse that I only need to ride, you know, I can ride her once a week and she's still safe as houses. So certainly a lot more manageable now. I probably spend more time putting the goats back in the paddock that they are meant to be in than dealing with the horses. So yeah.
They're like the naughty children.
Yes, as much as my gym members think it's hilarious when the goats come in during some classes, I find it less funny, but it's so fun.
I stumbled across a photo, actually, now you mention it. I think it's on your website. There's a view looking out of your doors towards where people park their cars, and there's a goat walking straight past the door. Classic.
Yeah, that would be one of mine.
That had to be in there, right? Brilliant. One of the other things I thought would be really interesting, because I'm a bit of a novice in this space, is the whole veganism and eating a vegan diet, particularly when you're a high performance athlete, where I'm assuming you were when you were kickboxing, and obviously when you were doing Ironman. So tell us a little bit more about I guess why that's the path that you've chosen, and sort of your learning in that space, and then applying it to a high performance environment, sport.
Sure. So I guess it's so normal for me to be vegan. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know any other way. I went vegetarian at the age of 10, and then went vegan at 13.
Yeah.
And so back at that age, I was a competitive swimmer. And although I didn't go vegetarian and vegan as a sport performance reason, it wasn't until I made that change that I started really accomplishing some good personal best times. That's when I started to medal quite frequently, and was able to qualify for the bigger events. So it was a very, very natural, I guess, thing for me to do now. And it was purely a weight loss thing when I was that age. And it did help. I was a big kid, and I would consider myself not a big person by any means now. But it's only been in probably the last 5 years or so that I've looked into it for the health benefits. And I guess it's more that I didn't go looking for the information, but the information's in your face now. And I've also seen the change in people that have been unhealthy or have been unwell, and when they've started following more of a plant-based diet, the results that they've been able to achieve. So I really do strongly believe there's some benefit to it. It's not something that I push on people, but at the same time, if people start that conversation, I'm really happy to discuss it with them and have the information there. If people do want to venture down that pathway. And like I've certainly made clients because they know I'm a vegan. They've heard about it through other people, and they've felt that they've been pressured by other trainers or other coaches. They're like, well, what if you just ate a little bit of chicken? I don't want to eat any chicken. I've certainly made clients because they feel safe to say, I actually don't want to eat animals. And I'm like, cool. Awesome.
And was it easy to then up your performance in terms of, let's use the Ironman as an example? Obviously, you're putting the body under a lot more stress. The body will probably need more protein because you're breaking down more muscle. Was it easy? I guess you'd been vegan for a while when you got to that stage. Was it pretty easy to then go, okay, this translates just as easily into high performance?
Yeah, I think it was. Like typically I was just increasing the portions of the food that I was already having. But just being a little bit stricter on myself about things like making sure I do have a protein shake available, and not letting myself get to the point where I was hungry. But it was just quite natural. Like, yes, I did lose a bit of weight with all the amount of training, but I think most people would. Strong.
You dropped out for a split second there, but I think I got the gist. My internet let me down for a moment there. You talked about increasing your portions and making sure you didn't get hungry, but you had lost a little bit of body weight, which I guess, as you say, is fairly normal. Was there anything after that?
No, that was pretty much it.
Cool. Excellent. Okay, good. Now, one of the other things I found interesting was, and I know we've talked about this in some of the education sessions that we've been in together, but you do some work, sort of non-traditional work for our industry with at-risk kids, but you also you have an event coming up in August 18th, and we can do a link to that in the show notes, which is all about confidence through crisis. And are those sort of things all linked in terms of some of that other work that you do?
Yeah, it's something I've kind of just, I guess, fallen into is not the right way, because I think if you've got the approach that people feel safe around you, then you're going to attract those kind of members. But yeah, so one of my clients is a counsellor and works with abused children, and she asked me to create a program where they build their self-esteem, they get some positive reinforcement, and they get to move and exercise. So we started doing that, and she mentioned that they were finding it really useful. They were seeing the children outside of that kind of classroom approach that they had the other sessions with those children, and actually seeing how they think and interact with each other. And it's expanded from there. So now they also do team building with their parent or their supervisor.
Yeah.
And again, they've said it's just massively helpful, because then they can actually see how to help the parent. And then connect. So that's been great. And then I guess from there, I've got really interested in how you can use exercise and movement as a way to help someone's mental health.
Yes.
And we talk about mind and body, and that mind-body link so much. And I've always done so much with the body and not really connected it to the mind. And that's partly what this the event is in August. Is I've got a motivational speaker who specializes in mental health and wellness. So he's mind stuff. And then he's asked me to help him with his programs to do more body work. So we're linking our specialties together to really build that mind-body connection. So this particular event is about helping people find their way and have a process in place for if they are going through a crisis, or if a crisis does happen. Change it, or how to have the confidence to create those changes in their current lifestyle. Yes, it's going to be really good. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, fantastic. It sounds like something that people could really get stuck into. I'll make sure there's a link to that event for probably mostly locals, but yeah, interesting work. And is that something that you want to keep pursuing? Do you want to grow that part of the business?
Oh, look, I think one of the best things I find about personal training is when people have mentioned that I've really helped them not just feel better or lose weight physically, but when they're like, you've actually helped me change my life.
Yeah.
And that has to be so much more than just a physical change. There's got to be that mind connection with it. And it's just the best feeling when you help someone with that. So absolutely, if I can keep building that part of my business, then I'd love to.
Excellent. Well, good on you. Very rewarding work by the sounds. Some of the things that I like to ask my guests here is, some of their tips, some of the things that they think are, useful tips for people to be successful in this industry. What we've covered some of this in terms of, the time spent in the big box gym, learning your craft, all that sort of stuff. Any other gems, any sort of things that you've come across over the years that you sort of thought, that stood me in good stead, that's helped me, that person or that thing? What sort of, what would you put in that basket there?
I think just really being genuine with yourself. part of personal training do you love, and focus on that, because if you're really good and really passionate, then you will attract the kind of clients that you also want to work with.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not going to train you because you don't connect, not connect, but I don't resonate with you well. And here's another great personal trainer that I think you're going to do better with.
Yeah.
Because again, when you work with people that you know, you can't help everyone, but you can certainly help and be the best personal trainer you can be to the few.
Yeah. This is good. Internet's just jumping in and out a little bit there, Freya. Sorry. You still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Cool. I like that. And have you ever had those situations where you've actually had to say that, you know, look, I don't think this is the right place for you, and have those difficult conversations? And has that probably been a good outcome?
Yeah, I think it was. Particularly again, going back to when I was working at a big gym, I've been one of two trainers. I get people come in and they were looking at doing bodybuilding or powerlifting, or they were, they had goals that I'm not passionate about myself.
Right.
And I just didn't feel like I was the right person to be working with them.
Yeah.
But also I get, you know, like through networking and talking to lots of other trainers and going to things like the PT council meetings, you know, you learn the people that you can refer on to.
Yeah.
Trainers realize that you're not a threat to them. They don't need to, you know, feel threatened by me. And in return, if they feel like there's, you know, when I've had people come to me from them, they know it hasn't been out of spite or anything like that. Those people just felt like they needed to change as well.
Yeah. And has that been good for business in terms of, you know, if you're strict about the things that you do and the things that you don't do, does that actually make things better, do you think?
I think absolutely. Looking back to when I was a new PT and trying to do a little bit of everything. Looking back at the quality of it and the processes, and you're spreading yourself so thin, trying to create processes for lots of different styles of personal training. Whereas now it's a lot more set. If you want to be a client of mine, you go through this process. This is what it looks like. And this is what sessions are like with me. And it creates a bit more harmony within a busy life and work schedule. And it builds the business because people hear of you doing this particular thing. And doing it really well.
Yeah. And I think that's something that people can be afraid of, because when you do start, you need to kind of do a bit of everything, because you don't know what it is you do, you know, what you're passionate about and what you're not so passionate about. And when you've kind of narrowed that down, when you've narrowed that down, it's very easy to say yes. It's clearer when you're going to say yes and when you're going to say no. And it feels like, you know, I'm turning money away, I'm turning clients away. But, you know, it's interesting, your answer to that last question is actually it is better, because everybody sees the thing that you do, and therefore that's what you get known for. And so you're automatically creating your niche. So sometimes those no's can be better for business than the yeses.
Yeah. And saying no leaves you open to say yes to other people.
Yes.
Particularly once you've, you know, built up enough of a client base.
Yeah.
If you're saying yes to everyone, then all of a sudden you've got someone who has an amazing story and you're super passionate, you want to help, and you're like, 5:30 in the morning? You know, so you can, you know, it leaves me open to say yes to the people that I do connect really well with and really want to help.
Yeah, I love that. It's really, it's smart. It makes sense, and it's smart business. It's the right way to go, I think. No, it's brilliant. I've really enjoyed chatting through some of that stuff. It feels like we've covered a lot of ground in a short space of time. Any other final tips or pearls of wisdom before we sign off?
Oh, pearls of wisdom.
No pressure.
Oh, hey, be yourself, but also connect with others.
Yeah.
I think personal training can, you know, if you let it become a bit of a lonely environment. So connect with all the personal trainers, go to meetings, go to events, and then find your group of PTs that you want to network, that you can build off, get ideas, keep fresh, and stay really motivated that way as well.
Like it. Yeah, no, that's really good. Great note to end on. Well, thanks so much for your time, Freya. It's been really good chatting, and I will hopefully catch you next time.
Awesome. Thanks so much,
Cool.
Rich.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.